Welcome to Go For Side Effects. I'm your host, Kevin Simon. You're on with co-host John. John, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Wade, how you doing?
Absolutely fantastic.
So this is another round of part one. Well, actually, I guess this would be part three of answers and questions. But before we get into it, I would like to just take a little bit of moment and talk about what today is. 80 years ago, D-Day. And it's the greatest generation of all time, in which my grandfather was a part of that war. And, and he also stormed the beach. And, when you look back and you reflect on everything that even our war to their war, I mean, that was the greatest generation of all time. I mean, them guys did it so we can wake up every morning and go to bed every night feeling secure, in our beds at night, that nothing was ever going to happen to us in this country. And so, with that being said, John wants to read off a little bit of something. And so I'm going to hand it to you, John.
Yeah, so I was just looking up curiosity about what exactly took place. I mean, we know beaches got stormed. There was, but I didn't know a lot of history about it because I never really researched it much. But so normally there was 50 miles of beach there, and the amount of people involved was pretty astonishing. I mean, just on that day alone, there was over 150,000 total people, and people that lost their lives totaling on that day was 4,414 people and 2,501 Americans just on that singular day by storm of the beach lost their lives. And which is, I mean, we watched the movies while men were dropping like flies, because of, it was just a horrific scene. And it took a lot of courage to move forward. And I was looking up, well, how much equipment was involved? Curiosity question. So I'm just going to rattle off. There's 6,000 ships, 50,000 vehicles, and 11,000 planes involved in this. So total allied numbers there. And I look back. I look back when I saw the people of the gentlemen in the wheelchairs, these in their chairs. I was thinking about the emotions they could be going through. And as I'm reading these numbers, which are just crazy, I'm like, wow, thank you all for that, because I mean, it was many people. None of us are young, and we understand, or at least we can fathom to some degree what happened there. Our war was significantly different, but yeah, the numbers are crazy.
Yeah, and on top of that too, is we all know somebody that was over there. I mean, our generation. And I mean, they never talked about it, they never discussed it. I understand why. I saw the movie Pacific. Watched the movie Band of Brothers. And it took the Navy, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine. It took everybody to, coordinate with each other and get this job done. So I want to thank each and every person out there that has had a loved one, a friend, and that are still alive. I want to thank the greatest generation of all time. And with that being said, we are now going to get into part one of questions and answers. And the first question I had really is Jason. Jason sent in one and talk about relationships. What go for veterans and their wives, their spouses, their kids, their friends, their mom, dad, brothers, sisters, ex-wives. How did the go for affect relationships, and how does it? I'll tell you my personal experience. I've been married twice. I'm married to a wonderful woman, almost 23 years. Better get that right. I know that my daughter suffers from what I brought home. So I see it in my kids. My family understands, but I do know a lot of people out there have lost families over this because they don't understand, and that's why we need to get the word out. And so, John, Wade, y'all want to comment on that?
Well, I think we ourselves, as the veterans, didn't understand what was going on with us when we were there, when we come home, because we're very young. We were like, we know things are going on with our bodies. We don't, but because of things we were involved in, things we saw, we don't necessarily realize it at the time, but of course we have changed. And when you bring it home and your spouse, your significant other, whatever, and they see a different person coming through the door. And yes, my daughter as well. She was, my son was born 10 days after I arrived back home, and my daughter, uh, she was conceived that year, and she suffers from a lot of issues that I brought home from the war. So I mean, it's a difficult. I've been fortunate. I've been fortunate. My wife and I have been married, since '87. We've certainly had our times, and everybody's situation is different. But I've been lucky. So
And we also shared, we shared our experience over there in a different way because we gave what we brought back to everybody we came in contact with. And I know Wade wants to jump in on this one. So go ahead, Wade.
I when I had my reunion 2 years ago now. What I thought was interesting, just an observation that I took back for home with me was the guys that were married before we deployed, they were still married to this day, which I thought that was just mind blowing to me actually. Where myself, I was not married when I deployed. I have yet to be married. I've had, a handful of failed long-term relationships. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but I do know a lot of guys who came home who got married and have been several marriages and divorces. That was just an observation I made. Now my daughter as well, like your guys' kids has been affected. So that was just a weird observation to me. Yeah, and I think maybe I'd like to think it's because they went through the experience together, and probably one of the hardest experiences that makes the rest of their life easy. That's what I'd like to think.
Yeah. Now, I don't know about y'all, but at certain times of the day, does y'all's eyes ever burn? My eyes always burn. That's
Yeah.
a question ever. My eyes burn all the freaking time, man. And I don't know what it is, but I'm telling you, when it burns for 5 minutes and go away. Won't come back till tomorrow. And so our next question, Troy Hare, and this is a good one. Where's the medical investigation as in terms of progress? What are they doing to help us? If you even mention a desert storm or syndrome at the VA, they tell you it's all in your head. But they do. They do. There are some doctors out there. I don't really know where we're at. I mean, I can't answer that question. I can tell you half my doctors believe in it, half of it don't. And so,
well, you're doing better than me on that in that respect, as far as who believes and who doesn't. So we understand there's still research going on. I mean, here we are over 30 years later, and I'm like, our government knows what we were exposed to. That's why they term it. If they can't figure out something with you, they just throw a title on it, and say undiagnosed illness. We all have we talk about this quite often. We all have a lot of the same issues. I just mentioned to you all today that now I'm starting to get headaches, and I don't know why. My blood pressure's fine. Yeah, maybe I'm not eating like I should, but I mean, I'm eating. I will eat to see if that changes. It does not, and Kevin, you and I talked briefly before coming on. I said, well, headaches or migraines are a big issue. You mentioned eyes. My eyes will itch. I don't have the burning per se, but they'll start itching.
Yeah,
Now you
that's
could,
like mine is. Mine has an itch to it, and it's like it will last for 5 minutes and then go away. But
yeah.
I do want to add on to this. So Connor McLeod asked this question: is anger issue a part of what
Yeah,
we brought home? Yes, and
yeah.
so I can honestly tell you that yes, that you can, and I think it's inherited also, through us, through from our children.
I think can we say for sure 100% that it's from our exposure? I think there's a high probability. Again, my doctor, when I first saw my current provider, she, I don't think, was familiar with the veterans of the Gulf War and what they were going with because she was new to the VA herself. Um, but yes, managing anger is, I think, a problem that we all have. Some of it depends on how good your therapist. If you're able to go, if you're currently going to see a therapist to help you work through things that you don't understand, things that anger you, if you're fortunate enough to do that, and across our country, just all the therapists, each one obviously is different. I prefer a female therapist, and she is able to help me understand, just because I don't isn't my way doesn't mean it's wrong. But I will get angry at a drop of a hat over some stupid shit. Like why is that? Or emotional, just emotional, crazy emotional. And I'm like, why? That's ridiculous. And I can't control it.
Right, I
And
can't either.
I'll start tearing up. It doesn't have to be necessarily just a little bit sad. And now, do I do this when I'm out in the public? To be honest, I mean, I'm becoming more sedentary. I'm not moving around as much, but there's a lot of variations or a lot of reasons. I mean, the fatigue thing is a bitch,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, the
one thing leads
fatigue.
to another, leads to another. If you can't sleep, we all have problems with sleeping,
But
so
see,
there's a lot of
I find, I don't know about y'all, but I find that like even everybody seems to be fatigued right now. I really do.
Hmm.
I find a lot of society is fatigued. I don't know what that possibly could be. I have no idea. But man, and so that's where kind of I have a question. And Wade, this question is going to be mainly for you because I haven't got a call back on this, and I know she is listening right now. So if your child has gone away into the military, has done a couple years and is out now, and you're 100% disabled, can they? But they're not disabled at all, percentage wise. But they live in a different state and they're under the age of 23. Can they use Chapter 35 from you?
I guess I don't see why not. I mean, if the parent veteran's 100% disabled, then yes, the child should be able. It doesn't matter where they go to school at. It's all processed through every single or every educational system. They have a veterans representative, and it's typically associated with the financial aid office, and that's it. It's basically just a simple one-page form.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah,
you do it all online. So, Steph,
yep.
did you get that? Yes, the answer is yes. So, that to me is an important question. And so, and And see, and so far we've done 3 questions and we only hit 1 page. That's why there's going to be a part 2, because I got a laundry list of questions that I was like blown away. Next one is, how do we create a forum, a platform, to where more Desert Storm veterans come on to it, and about the toxic soup bowl is what he said. And this was from Edward Bryan. Edward, this is one right here.
Mhm.
Oh wait. Our forum is one way. There's other platforms out there. Wade, I just got popped another question into my inbox. What happens if the child gets out of the military and they're 70%? Can they still use, if they're under 23, their parents' chapter 35?
I guess I don't. You mean is the parent 70% or the child
The
70%?
child, but the parents 100.
I guess I don't see why not. I mean,
Me neither, because my daughter's married, has children, and lives in a different house, has a different last name.
You
She
have
can
to do
still
it
use
before they're
mine.
26. You
Yes,
got to get it done
yes,
before
before
their
the age of
26th birthday.
26.
We do know that
That is
because my
correct.
daughter got screwed out of that whole deal. So
Right. So to let everybody know, this forum, and this is a forum, I want everybody to come on, speak their voice, talk about what's going on, what's happening in their life, tell their story about Desert Storm. This is one forum, because I know DC is watching this. They download it, and let them keep downloading. And the more people we have on here, the more we get to scream and yell to the rooftops about what's going on with us. But there's a
yeah,
lot.
and it's pre and post Gulf War. I mean, yes, we're talking about our when I say our war, the one 9091, but the post 9/11 kids. I mean, the same thing applies, right? I
Right.
mean, so I mean that's true, right? I'm not out of bounds on that, am I, Wade? I think even the post
And
9/11, the 20-year Afghanistan Iraq veterans, still the same.
that's something that myself and Jimmy had discussed. When you go back to the PACT Act, and they lumped Gulf War as one, ours 9091 as well as post 9/11, which
Okay.
is just, if that's just a big smokescreen to literally confuse everybody.
I agree.
We have our issues,
Yeah.
they have their issues. There is no combined group. If you go to like a local vet center, this is my biggest bitch. There's a group for every group of veterans except for Desert Storm. You go and if you stand back and watch and look at different veterans organizations, they're going to have something resembling every conflict, every war. They may or may not have Desert Storm. I personally do not believe that post 9/11 and Desert Storm, I think they're two significantly different.
They
And
are.
that's significantly different issues, significantly different times. And I just think that's just a big red herring to confuse a lot of people.
And I want to toss this one out there. So we had Jimmy on at one time, and Jimmy said no matter if you were dishonorably discharged all the way to honorable discharge, you can claim with the VA about Desert Storm. I don't know how that works.
Dishonorably, you can do that?
That's exactly what he said on this
You
program.
did say that.
He said Gulf War Desert Storm vets are the only ones allowed to do that. And so I recommend anybody out there, if you have a dishonorable discharge other than honorable discharge, call your VSO officer in your area. They know. Ask them. And I saw that. But this is Wade's question right here. So Thomas Orr, and I like this. He goes, I like to know where And as far as what units and where in theater was the toxins we were exposed to, sarin gas, weapons of mass destruction, what were they? So I kind of explained this for everybody as far as it goes about where you were located, because to me, you were the probably most exposed to most people I know. But go ahead. I want you to.
Well, when you say toxic exposure, I mean, it basically all started, when you started receiving your overseas inoculations.
That's
Um,
one.
there was a lot of people outside Bahrain when the Scuds were hit there, not knowing if they had sarin gas in the war rounds. A lot of people were ordered to take PB pills. Like myself and my unit, we actually advanced into Iraq and we ended up at Qamishli. Obviously, everybody knows the fallout of that. There was other ammunition and depots.
Sorry about that, everybody. We had technical difficulties here in the state of Texas. We can blame it on the heat. I don't know what the heck it was. But the producer was able to get it up and running and everything. So sorry about that. And so so where we were at was talking about, in theater, the toxins. And so go ahead and start that over, Wade,
Yeah,
about.
so your toxins essentially started, when you started getting your shots. When they ordered you to take your PB pills, for those that were out in the desert, getting sprayed down with pesticides, insecticides to kill all the insects. Burn pits. I don't think that's a big issue. But then when we come to Qamishli, as well as other animal supply places, there was other ones over near, I believe how you pronounce it, An Nazaria was another location. And that is what I've got to dig out and forward to you, Kevin. But the declassified units that were exposed to the sarin, and it is timed. I mean, it's from 2006, but so you can essentially count on, if you were in country, and I say in country being Iraq, yes, you were probably exposed. Again, how much of that has to do with anything? I don't know. Dr. Haley says it is. He said he's deemed that as the cause, but yet we still have more research. And as far as the treatment, everybody knows there has been no treatment. So
No, right.
you can just assume that you were exposed.
Okay, so but
Yeah.
but to me, people who were closer into like Qamishli, if I'm saying it right, the further like you out into the Persian Gulf, probably got a little less dilute as far as sarin gas, mustard gas, and stuff like that. But I mean, there was a plume of that smoke that generated with that was a plume of 1.84 million miles, from what I read.
Right.
And so, but y'all got hit the hardest, and how you're still here, and which I'm grateful for it, is just a blessing. I can honestly say that, Wade. I mean, and so that's just the crazy part.
So looking back on it, it is kind of crazy now looking back at it. You know how it is when you're a young troop. You don't know what's going on. You're just doing your job. According to the research, it basically comes down to each individual's metabolism, and not to get all too wooky scientific and medical, but it's basically how your body can metabolize the actual toxin. It can, it can't, it might, and that's going to be the range of effects that you're going to have from it.
Okay, and so I mean, I think Wade would be more of an expert than I would on it, because I was in the Gulf and y'all were closer in. John, sorry, that could be how you lost your hair. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now
but that's true. I mean, Wade was
a lot closer in.
and none of us really know the amount that we've been exposed to. Any is bad. And so I have to agree with Wade. I think basically if you were there, just assume that you were exposed,
Yeah, I
you
agree.
know?
And I like what you brought up in the very beginning. We were exposed before we even got there when we started getting our shots.
Yeah, yeah. Your
And
body was already your
yeah,
bodies, your cells, everything. It was already changing. I think they've pretty much come to the consensus of mitochondrial dysfunction.
right.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
And so this next one comes from, I'll say her name after I ask the question. It like, oh, why is it that the host is cuter to the two guys up there? Shania Twain.
What?
Y'all, I'm just kidding. See,
So full of shit.
come on, man, that was funny. I've been waiting all day. I just want y'all to know, it's like, how can I get them to? With one question of me being a smart aleck, and I just threw it in there. And I don't care what anybody, everybody in the comments going to think that's funny. But so, Bobby Richard, which I hope I said his name right, I would like to, I like someone to answer this question. When my VA doctor has no idea where to go next, where do I turn? I have real pain and nothing shows. Why? That's because we have unexplained illnesses. They can't explain it. But the one thing I fault a lot of doctors on this is when you tell them about Gulf 4, and I blame the administration side too. Both sides should be talking together about this. Because at the administration side, like we got RAC, we got risk, we got all them over there. This is our next steps. This is our next steps. Well, they're not talking to the doctor. Go do your PACT Act. You go to the environmental side when you do the PACT Act environmental things, right?
Well, I
yeah.
I tell you, and because my memory is bad, you direct that individual or anybody that's curious, Dr. Galam. When we had Dr. Galam on here, a few weeks back, she did a phenomenal job of explaining or answering our questions about why our bodies. Because I asked about the mitochondria, I asked about, we asked some specifics, and some very she gave very medically oriented answers, and she, for the lack of a better way to phrase it, dumbed it down to be able to understand. You take that information and you show your doctor, listen to this 10-15 minute, I mean, it was longer than that, but if that individual can listen to Dr. Galam, who's a researcher and has proof, that individual will have a better understanding. We are not medical. I mean, Wade is, but you and I don't have any medical background. But Dr. Galam, the way she presented stuff, we were like, oh shit, that explains that, because the mitochondria is damaged in our bodies and it presents a lot of issues.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that. And so we're going to go to the next one. Tim, I'm not even going to try to say this last name. It's like Cornelison. Okay, I'll try it. All right. The detox foot pads seem to be on the top of my list. I forgot the name, but they look promising for me since my ankles are swollen since the war. We need to detox. What are
I
other
would.
ones? I agree with that.
They are. I've seen them. I've used them. I think I still have some, but I believe they're the bamboo detox pads. You literally put on me. I put them on at nighttime at the bottom of your feet. The idea is it is pulling toxins from your body. Um, I can't say that they're going to help. They're not going to hurt. But what she said right there is I don't care what we were exposed to what research we do, what diet you're on, or what pill you're popping, until our bodies are detoxed from whatever's inside, we are never going to get healthy. And that's my biggest hang up with a lot of the researchers too, is whatever's in there has got to get out. It's kind of, think of it like a cancer. You can take all the vitamins you want, but that cancer is still going to grow. You've got to cut the cancer out for the body to heal. And it's the same concept with us being toxed.
But
We've got to get it out.
But do you believe that it's been us for too long? Honestly. That's a good question.
I think it's going to go back to the individual's body. Everybody's body is different. So
I mean, I met guys from Desert Storm that's been there that don't have a problem at all. And then I met
absolutely.
people. I mean, it's just crazy. Everybody's body is completely different when it comes to detoxing and how you detox. With me, I still use the patches. And so for me, I swear they're helping. You can, just to let y'all know, y'all go to these nutrition, what are the vitamin stores? Make sure if y'all go to them, they know exactly what they're talking about. Talk to a nutritionist. Talk to somebody about if you're going to detox right, because you can detox the wrong way and make yourself worse. And so that's what I recommend. A lot of us are, and this is the next question. Why is it that most veterans are vitamin B and D deficient? That's a good question, because most people who I know are especially vitamin D deficient.
Yeah, you're right.
I was told that's normal amongst everybody, the deficiency of D. I heard that's amongst everybody.
No, it's never been normal. I mean,
that isn't what I was told.
Whoever on God's green earth tells you that is on crack.
Well,
it's not normal to be.
It was a medical provider.
Medical provider could kiss my ass on that one. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of people, are vitamin B. Oh yeah, everybody's vitamin B deficient.
No, not so much.
I mean, no. And so, vitamin D. Even my neurologist told me it is weird that a lot of you go for veterans or vitamin D and vitamin B have deficiency. Y'all are lacking it. Why? I don't know. But here, then he's supposed to send me some super pill of vitamin D. He goes, and once I give it to you, it's really going to wake you up. Well, it's been 2 weeks. I haven't got it. Doc, if you're listening, you still need to send me that stuff. So some doctor out there telling somebody, oh, yeah, that's normal. Most people, yeah. Especially if you work out in the sun all freaking day, all the time. I mean, we're not lacking sun in the state of Texas. It's 100-something degrees outside. I ain't lacking any sun. I can tell you that right now. Okay, I'm going to get off that soapbox because that's the craziest damn thing I ever heard. Okay, so Tim also posted this. I post a lot of stuff on my group, Sick Gulf War Veterans. And
what was the group? I'm sorry, Kevin.
Sick Gulf War Veterans 2 and supporters. Okay, I think cyclosarin weaken our colons. Symptoms I had was my colon telescoped on itself, and it rotted. By the time the VA doctors listened to me, he had to do major surgery on my colon resection. So the cover up is, he says, is the cost of lives, and in which I just you got to answer? Anybody got an answer to that one? I don't have an answer to that.
Nope, not on that one. I don't.
Well, your colon, obviously, that's working with your digestive system. Everybody knows their own bodies. So if something's not working right, don't wait around to contact your doctor. And, when you do contact your doctor, keep contacting until they contact you back,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and
And
And the best way to do that is if you're a veteran and, go through My Healthy Vet.
every time.
every
One thing
time.
I was going to mention, since you just brought that up, one thing that was advised to me, and I started doing it this last 2 weeks, at your very bottom of your message, when you're signing like I always sign my name, always put Desert Shield, Desert Storm underneath your name on every single message that you send.
No shit, because I
No
normally
shit. Now, I did that, and on the second time, my doctor's been gone for a week, and we'll get into the whole bitch and complain about that, but she's been gone. I had a call from the head of the clinic apologizing for my issues not being addressed. Now, I don't know if that prompted them, but who told me to start doing that is very knowledgeable, and sure enough, I did it, and I get a call. So
just at the bottom
end,
of your message, whatever you're asking for as you're typing it in, at the bottom of that, you put Desert Shield, Desert Storm.
Yep, I just signed my name. At the end of my message, I signed my name W or Wade Renard or Wade R, and then underneath that, Desert Shield, Desert Storm.
Really?
And
okay.
Supposedly,
I always put, damn it, listen to me.
Don't ask me, because the person who told me that said it will illuminate your message, and I think he was right.
Really?
Really?
Okay, that's interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
I learned something there.
And on the reverse, if you're writing to your doctor, about a new issue, John's writing to his doctor about his headaches, his primary care.
Yep.
I am a veteran of Desert Shield, Desert Storm 1990-91. That should be the very first line of your message.
Okay.
Not, I have headaches. I am a veteran of Desert Shield, Desert Storm 90-91. As of recently, I'm starting to experience new and unusual headaches that were not there previous.
Okay.
But if you put that, if it's any new condition, your first line always needs to signify that you're a Desert Storm veteran.
Really? No.
Okay.
All right. So
Never
all
to
y'all,
me, but okay, I'll do it.
and so I know we're kind of coming to the latter part of this, but I want to, and he's listening now. So Connor, I know you're in here, you're listening, and he went on to one of the Veterans for Veterans, and he was in crisis mode. He needed help, and he was, and this was upon the question that's asked here. He was crying out for help, put his phone number out there. Why do veteran groups not respond when you need help? Instead of them, and like he literally put his phone number out there for somebody to call him. Not one phone call. He got messages, call the crisis line, hey, you'll be okay, or this, and this. He was stationed with me. He texted me, I think it was 4:56 a.m. By 5:15, 5:30, I was calling him back. I woke up and something said, hey, check your message. And I called him that morning. Guys, when y'all get messages, I don't care what group you're in, and I'm going to call it out. Every veteran group out there, from veterans to Gulf War side effects, everything. If there's a veteran that needs to talk and doesn't want to call the crisis hotline, and they're like, look, I'll put my phone number out there, somebody please talk to me. Somebody call them. Don't be an ass. Call them, talk to them. That's what they want. They need somebody to talk to. And so and that goes to the point of one of the questions on there is why in every veteran group, when you ask for help, people are tossing, just call the crisis hotline. Not everybody needs a crisis hotline. Anybody want to add to that?
I agree, 100%.
I agree.
Yeah, no,
Yep.
yeah, I get that. Yeah, true.
And we're going to get to our last question now. Okay. And one of the last questions is this, and I have it because I don't think most of us has thought about this questions out there. You're welcome, Connor. He just said thank you. How can I put this where it doesn't sound really weird? And it's not a joke. I know John's like, oh shit, it's coming out of Kevin's mouth. He's gonna say something crazy. But it's really not.
Cigarettes again.
Okay. Why is it nowadays when you call the VA and everything, the first thing they put up on their call thing is this: if you have a crisis, either hang up, dial 911, or call the crisis hotline, right?
Yep.
Why don't they have a button, just press 1?
Now that makes total sense.
Yeah, that would work. Yeah, that's way easier.
Way
easier.
So the other day when I was calling, it says if you're having a health emergency and you need help, please either hang up, dial 911, or hang up and dial 98991, the crisis hotline number. And I was like, wait a second. Why can't I just press 1? Why isn't that number 1? And on top of that, why is it that when you're calling for Desert Storm veterans, please press 2. For Vietnam veterans, please press 3. So that way, when you press a number, they know, okay, this is a Desert Storm calling about a certain situation that's going on with Gulf War illness. I want y'all to think about that. They can make this so much more simpler than, and they just need to give me the total range of being the veterans just in charge of the VA administration totally, and I'd have this shit fixed in a week. It'd be so easy. Be like, and I definitely would not use, Alexa or Siri as the voices on any of the calls or anything like that. But it's like, and then they play a baby monitoring music when you're on hold. I didn't know if y'all knew that or not. So things need to change on that. But if y'all ever call, notice that when you dial, they tell you to hang up and press 911 instead of, if you have a crisis, press 1 now. That's all they have to do. Press 1 now. Takes you straight to an operator. She can take you right to where you need to go. You're wasting veterans' precious moments on there. So this is, and I got a lot more good questions, and I mean some in-depth ones that we can't get into tonight because we're going to have to do a part 2. But thank each and every one of y'all for listening. If you have a question, please, we're going to leave this up for a day or 2. Write your question down that you would like to know. Leave a comment underneath, and we'll get to it because I'm going to get to all the comments and the questions and all the comments. And for any of y'all typing into the box that's answer questions for us that we couldn't see, thank you very much. I want y'all to have a great night. John, Wade, thank you for coming on. And we're now going into the after show.